That is unusually long. But now, as I speak, so Jimmy Lennon Jr. makes his way to the centre of the ring, and I can see him muttering to himself. He is practicing the words that he is about to voice here in this MGM Grand Garden Arena. Opened 20 years ago. The first fight here, Mike Tyson's comeback after his jail sentence for his rape conviction when he brushed away Peter McNeely inside a couple of rounds. And the crowd now sensing that with Jimmy Lennon Jr. in the centre of the ring, that very soon the two men will make their way along a very short gangway here, pretty much like Madison Square Garden for Ali and Frazier all those years ago in 1971, just 10 or 15 yards from the dressing rooms out into the competition ring.
Well, fans, before we bring out our main event fighters at this time, we ask you to rise for the singing of the national anthems. First, ladies and gentlemen, in recognition of our upcoming Cinco de Mayo celebration, we present the national anthem of Mexico. Please welcome to the microphone from Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico, Julio Lopez.
Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero apresta y el bridón, y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Ciño patria, tus sienes de oliva, de la paz el arcángel divino, que en el cielo tu eterno destino por el dedo de Dios escribió. Mas si osare un extraño enemigo profanar con su planta tu suelo, piensa, oh patria querida, que el cielo un soldado en cada hijo te dio, un soldado en cada hijo te dio. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero apresta y el bridón, y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. ¡Viva México, mi raza! ¡Arriba mi gente mexicana! ¡Arriba Mexicani!
A rousing rendition there, and we're hearing that the delay partly is because of the huge demand for people to connect to pay-per-view. Here's Michael Buffer.
As we honor our two champions with their respective national anthems. First, here in the ring, please join in the pastor and the word choir as Miss Gail Madanez sings the national anthem of the Philippines.
Bayang magiliw, pwes na silanganan, alab ng puso, saldi ko'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisiin, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit ng bugaw, may nilagang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang isap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagniningning, ang bituin at araw niyang kailan pa may magtininim. Lupa ng araw na malhali pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na may mga api, ang matatay ng dahil sa'yo.
And as that was being performed, we were sent images here at ringside of Manny Pacquiao warming up, and he was throwing, for all we've been saying about the left hand, a right hook.
Ladies and gentlemen, we present the national anthem of the United States. To lead us, please welcome to the microphone the multi-talented entertainment superstar, Jamie Foxx.
dawn's early light was so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, saved us that star-spangled banner that waved o'er the land of the free, and the home of the brave.
Well, I wonder if the American fervour will continue when Floyd Mayweather makes his way to the ring here, but even if he isn't the fans' favourite, he's certainly the betting favourite, as we wait for Jimmy Lennon Jr. once again.
Gentlemen, here we go. We are ready for the main event of the evening. 5 years in the making, and the time has come for the bout you've all been waiting for. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, the wait is over. It's go time!
And now the crowd here in the MGM Grand Garden Arena, in a departure from normal proceedings here in the build-up to a big fight, are watching a trailer on the 4 screens which are hanging from the roof of this magnificent Grand Garden Arena, with various celebrities giving their views on the fight. We're seeing flash highlights also of the careers of the two men. 5 times they've boxed against common opponents, one of them just 2 rows in front of me here, Juan Manuel Marquez, another of them Britain's Ricky Hatton. Hatton knocked out in 2 rounds in this ring by Manny Pacquiao in 2009 with a pile driving straight left come left hook, which deposited him on his back in the center of the ring. And 2 years earlier, Floyd Mayweather beat Ricky Hatton in 10 rounds, and that huge cheer at the end of that trailer was for the image of Manny Pacquiao, who now makes his walk to the ring. And so Manny, those cheers ring around this famous arena where he's produced so many brilliant performances in the past. 11 times he's fought here at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. And back home in the Philippines, it's coming up to Sunday lunchtime. A nation will have come to a standstill. More than 100 million people watching the man that they've worshipped for so long, who's brought so much happiness to the country. So many can relate to him because of his background and his poverty-stricken upbringing. The man who slept on the streets in cardboard boxes, sold donuts for a few pesos, used to live on 50 cents a day with his great friend Buboy Fernandez, who will be with him in the corner very shortly. But at the moment it's only Pacquiao, flanked by security officials, as we wait for him to arrive now out from the corridor in the bowels of the arena into the arena itself, and one or two of the fans, 1,000 or 2,000 of the fans, have caught a glimpse of him. And just over to our right, many of the ringsiders have got up out of their seats and moved towards that gangway.
Now making his entrance to the ring, the fighting pride of the Philippines, Manny Pacquiao.
Michael Buffer, as ever, whipping the crowd into a frenzy here, and there's a smile on the face of Manny Pacquiao. As Ricky Hatton once said, when you're walking to the ring afflicted by nerves, and then you see this smiling assassin coming into the ring at the same time, and Freddie Roach is even taking a selfie on the way to the ring. Even for Freddie Roach, this is a very, very special night. This is the 31st time that he and Manny Pacquiao have made this walk to the ring together, but never has it been so important to both of them, to the legacy of both men. Freddie Roach was telling us on 5 Live earlier this week that by Thursday he was already getting the butterflies in the stomach. He was already beginning to feel the nerves. The calmest man in the entire camp, as he appears now in the arena for the first time, was and is Manny Pacquiao, smiling once again. He's got a white and red headband on, he's got a white t-shirt with those red gloves that we were talking about earlier on, and huge cheers ringing around here, people punching the air, very much the fans' favourite here. And he's taking the plaudits here and just tapping the outstretched hands of those who are forming a human gangway here as he comes very close to the ring. He walks past us here at ringside, just a few more steps now till he gets close up to the ring apron. 2 or 3 strides behind him is Freddie Roach, and here is Pacquiao on the ring apron itself. And so he bounces into the ring, saunters over to the red corner, which is nearest to us. That will be his corner, and soon Floyd Mayweather will make his way to the ring, to the blue corner.
Mike, I'm looking at Manny Pacquiao's people in the ring. They seem jubilant. They've been jubilant since they arrived in that 100-plus car cavalcade. Manny doing his usual stuff, alone in the corner now, and praying. An awful lot of people, and boos for Floyd Mayweather, Mike.
And not just boos, but a crescendo of hostility as he now makes his way to the ring with a baseball cap saying Mayweather Promotions and a flamboyant top of gold and black and white, and he's looking downwards at this stage. None of the smiling that we saw from Manny Pacquiao, looking much more tense at this stage, just talking to one of his acolytes as he too makes that long, and even though he's surrounded by security guards, it's a lonely walk to the ring. Very soon now we will hear those boos ringing around this arena once again, but for so long he has been the villain on big nights like this, and he manages to cope. He's got the temperament. Indeed, there's a sense of bring it on in everything that Mayweather does. He has the attitude that Muhammad Ali had all those years ago. He doesn't care whether the fans here have come to see him win or come to see him lose, as long as their checks don't bounce. That's what Ali said all those years ago, and now they're catching sight of the villain here tonight, the man who's unbeaten in 47 contests, an all-time great in whichever weight division you care to argue about, when you consider how he's gone up through the weight divisions, and that defensive genius of his, which doesn't go down well with the casual sports fans all the time, but it has been at times a joy to watch. I remember being here the first time I saw him live up against Oscar de la Hoya, and it was pure defensive brilliance from start to finish against a man who'd been in the light middleweight division much longer than him, and now he appears in the Grand Garden Arena, and it's a much more subdued atmosphere as he makes his way to the ring. There has hardly been a change in his expression as he gets very close to the ringside steps now. 1, 2, 3 steps and then up onto the ring apron itself. He goes in between the centre two of the 4 ropes, swivels outside once again, perhaps a superstitious move. Many a fighter does that to just make themselves feel calm and feel at home, and this is the place where he's fought no fewer than 23 times in his career in Las Vegas, almost half of his career. So the two men, Steve, in the ring and looking very, very different in their demeanour.
It's very interesting, Mike. He hasn't looked up. Floyd has looked serious. He walked into the ring not with any of his security guards. They were the MGM security guards. And what's interesting, they've kept Manny. They've let him out now, but they kept him completely trapped in the corner, as though they didn't want anybody from Floyd's entourage. They didn't want Justin Bieber. Didn't want any of them. Didn't want any of them getting in Manny's face. They've let him loose a little bit now. Floyd's got the full run of the ring, and Manny's working in about a 2-foot square area. Floyd looking a little bit more relaxed now that he's actually in the ring, Mike, shaking out. And there's Nate Jones, who was on the course of 1996 Olympic team of him, standing not 4 foot in front of Manny and starting to abuse him. So that's why Freddie and the rest of Team Pacquiao turned Manny around, stuck him in the red corner so he wouldn't get too much abuse and too much aggro aimed at him.
Well, it seems a long time ago, but Steve and I went to a press conference before the Atlanta Olympic Games with the American boxing team, all sat in a long line on one long dais, and there was a young lad at the end who was leaning on his hand with his elbow on the desk, and he was yawning through the entire press conference, and we looked at each other and we said, which one is that? And we flicked through the American team handbook, and it was Floyd Mayweather. Here again, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
The Grand Garden Arena here at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, for the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Mayweather Promotions and Top Rank Incorporated in association with Showtime Pay-Per-View and HBO Pay-Per-View. Sponsored by Tecate, Con Carácter, Mexico, Live It to Believe It, and the Weinstein Company, and the new movie Southpaw, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, in theaters everywhere, July 24th.
This contest is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Chairman Francisco V. Aguilar. Executive Director Bob Bennett. The World Boxing Organization Supervisor is its President Francisco Paco Barcarcel, and the World Boxing Association Supervisor is Gilberto Jesus Mendoza. The WBC Supervisor is President Mauricio Suleiman. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring will be Bert Clements, Glenn Feldman, and Dave Moretti, and the man in charge of the action inside the ring, World Championship veteran referee Kenny Bayless. And now, the officials are ready. The fighters are in the ring, and they are ready. So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, with his trainer Freddie Roche and wearing yellow and red. Official weight, 145 pounds. His fighting credentials of 57 victories, including 38 knockouts, along with 13 international and world championship titles in a record 8 different weight divisions, guarantees his place in the Hall of Fame. He's recognized and known the world over as the People's Champion from Sarangani Province, the fighting pride of the Philippines, the reigning, defending, 2-time WBO welterweight champion of the world, Manny Pacquiao!
So Michael Buffer departs centre stage, and here's Jimmy Lennon Jr. once again.
On my left, fighting out of the blue corner, radiating no introduction the world over, and truly representing some of the finest boxing skills our sport has ever seen. Wearing black trunks with gold trim, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada. He weighed in at a ready 146 pounds. A veteran of 24 world title bouts. He is undefeated in his 18-year campaign with a record of 47 wins, no losses, 26 wins coming by way of knockout. And ladies and gentlemen, here is the pound-for-pound great and the pay-per-view king, boxing's future Hall of Famer, the sensational 11-time world champion in 5 weight divisions. Please welcome the reigning, the defending, and the undefeated WBC and WBA welterweight and super welterweight champion of the world, introducing Floyd Mayweather.
And now all that remains, the last of the formalities, last instructions from referee Kenny Bayliss, who's already spoken to the two men in their dressing rooms.
Okay, gentlemen, Floyd, Manny, this is a fight that the world has been waiting for. Both of you are world champions. We went over the rules in the dressing room. I want you to keep this fight clean at all times, show good sportsmanship, protect yourself at all times, and what I say you must obey. Good luck to both of you. Touch them up, God bless.
The fight the world has been waiting for, said Kenny Bayliss, the fight that many of us feared we would never see. And for all the talk in the build-up of money and finances, this is a chance for each man here to enrich his reputation and his legacy. It's Mayweather against Pacquiao. The officials have left the ring, and now the trainers are leaving the ring. Freddie Roach is the last to leave the ring. All that remains, Kenny Bayliss, Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. And listen to the expectation in the crowd as we wait to see who will land the first significant punch. It's been so long in the making. At last, Mayweather against Pacquiao. Which of these two all-time greats will be first to impose his authority on the fight? A very cagey first few seconds. Mayweather on the front foot, trying to control the affair from the center of the ring. Pacquiao feints with a right hand, almost motioned to go to the body with the jab, but still a very tentative start. 2 jabs from Mayweather, a jab from Pacquiao, but Mayweather steps back out of range. 30 seconds gone, and the first punch to land was a right hand, but just a light one from Pacquiao on the torso of Mayweather. Mayweather tries a right hand, normally so effective against the southpaw, but hasn't quite found the timing just yet. Then flicked out a couple of jabs, and he goes towards the body with a right hand, Mayweather. Pacquiao sees it coming, steps back again. Pacquiao goes to the torso area with a jab, swaying from the waist, goes in with a jab, then pulls away from throwing a left hand. Did Manny Pacquiao there, just slightly fearful of what might come his way in terms of a counter punch from Mayweather. First solid shot of the fight is a right hand from Mayweather as Pacquiao got set to throw a jab. Beautiful shot, high on the head of Pacquiao, and that jet black hair flew up just for a moment as that punch landed solidly from Mayweather. Best shot of the fight so far as we reach the halfway stage of the opening round. A jab from Mayweather gets through over the low-held right hand of Manny Pacquiao, who hasn't quite found his groove just yet. Both men pretty much standing stock still in the center of the ring where most of the action has taken place so far. The crowd now trying to rouse their man into action, into producing some kind of success in this early stage of the contest. Another prodding jab, tentative jab from Pacquiao, and Mayweather attempted to counter it with a left hook. Left hook, another one of the most effective punches against the southpaw. Southpaw's leading with their right arm and their right foot, sometimes so difficult for orthodox fighters like Mayweather, who tried to pinpoint a right hand onto the chin of Pacquiao once again, and this time it landed just short. Mayweather goes to the body with a left jab underneath the right elbow of Manny Pacquiao. That sense of expectation here as Pacquiao drives Mayweather onto the ropes on the far side of the ring, very close to Mayweather's own corner. Mayweather lands a lovely right hand. Again, he made Pacquiao miss and made him pay. Pacquiao tries a jab come hook, but it was a weak, insignificant punch. punch. Two solid right hands landing in the opening round from Floyd Mayweather. Now Pacquiao tries to land a long-range right hand, almost jumped in there in his desperation to produce some kind of success in the last few seconds of the opening round. And Mayweather backs up into his own corner. Pacquiao lets fly with a right-left combination, and Mayweather starts to talk to him in a clinch as if to say pull away here, and they're separated by the referee at the end of the first round. And Steve Bunce, on those clean punches alone, it has to go to Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather's round. That was a very good right hand, Mike. Now I think he caught him slightly off balance, as he certainly sent him back with that straight right across. First minute, not a lot happened. Started to open up in the last 30 or so seconds. That's because Manny charged and raced in, and what was interesting, the first moment that Mayweather grabbed him, they booed, and I saw in this corner here the whole of the Filipinos corner, they're all sticking their arms up. Kenny Bailey's going to be put under pressure. Mayweather not under any pressure yet. Manny Pacquiao just moving and just looking and just trying to find openings.
But the atmosphere here, Steve, is sensational. It's as if everybody is throwing the punches and stepping in with Pacquiao.
Mike, you absolutely sense that the crowd started to rise. They live in and breathe in every single punch, and they'll do that until this fight is over. It's exceptional. It's what we wanted. It's what we're getting.
So on our card then, the first round to Floyd Mayweather. The bell sounds for round number 2 of this so eagerly awaited fight of the century. Floyd Mayweather against Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao goes in untidily, takes a left hook from Mayweather at the start of this, the second round, and Pacquiao falls away off balance as Mayweather lands successfully. Mayweather's just getting ready, you sense, to throw the right hand, and he does it again. You can see the way he cocked his shoulder in the corner. He was waiting to throw that big shot. The crowd there cheer as Pacquiao lands only on the left shoulder of Mayweather. Mayweather's got his back to the ropes just above us here at ringside. Pacquiao tries to open up. He tries to get some kind of rhythm going, and boos around here once again, as Steve Bunce was saying, every time that Mayweather holds. A sporting touch of gloves for the two men as they came away from that clinch. No qualms, no complaints from Manny Pacquiao here. Mayweather gets so confident that he leaves both arms dangling way down beneath his waist, moves around towards his left, towards the centre of the ring now, and closer now to the ropes just above us, waiting for Pacquiao to make his move and then try to counter-punch with either the right hand or the left hook. This time Mayweather goes forward with 2 successive right hands, but Pacquiao, no mean fighter in defence himself, makes him miss with both of those punches. And now a right hand from Mayweather again is avoided by Pacquiao, and there was just a very slight clash of heads there, but neither man coming off any the worse for wear, both unscathed. Pacquiao now goes after his man again, tries a left uppercut towards the body, goes in with another left hand towards the body. Mayweather sees the follow-up punch though, ducks underneath and swivels around and comes back to the relative safety of close to the centre of the ring. But every time Pacquiao opens up, the crowd really go mad here, but most of the punches are either missing or they're landing on the forearms and the gloves of Mayweather. This has been a much quieter round. There's a minute to go in the second of 12. Right hand again from Mayweather gets through as Pacquiao's defence gets leaky on the way in. He was so desperate to land a big shot that he forgot about covering up on the way in, keeping it tight. He's got the gloves tightly held by his temples, but they are being pierced by these shots of Floyd Mayweather. Very little serious, significant scoring done in this second round. Pacquiao goes after his man with a left hand towards the body. They've moved to the far side of the ring, over beyond us here. A right hand again from Mayweather lands on the high part of the head of Pacquiao, and now Mayweather flicks out almost the backhand of the glove as Pacquiao is made to miss once again. Pacquiao's feet are looking untidy as he gets slightly desperate on the way in and doesn't really measure the punches. He lunges in, and Mayweather is reading what he's doing and making him miss. 15 seconds to go in the second round. The two men are back towards the centre of the ring, leaning, swaying, rolling from the waist, keeping each other guessing, trying to use all the guile that has brought them through 43 world title fights between them. Again, Pacquiao charges after his man, and there was something slightly novicy about that, and there's a pat on the back for each of them. Again, the lack of animosity extends into the contest itself. Steve, a much more difficult round to score, but I thought Mayweather just again did enough clean punching.
Mayweather won it clearly and cleanly if you're looking at clean punches and counters. I'm telling you, the judges will go the other way on that because the crowd's gone the other way on that because Manny committed himself 5 or 6 times. What's worrying for Manny, if I'm Freddie in his corner now, I'm telling him to not just watch my charges in, but to make sure I've kept my left hand up, because it's not the straight right that's the problem. Mayweather threw it once. He threw a looping right behind the hand to the exposed chin. Manny Pacquiao is going to get dropped in this fight in the next 3 or 4 rounds, and it's going to be that shot, and I wish I'd had that with the bookies, Mike.
You hear the whistle from the timekeeper. That's the command for the trainers and seconds to clamber out of the ring. The bell sounds for the 3rd round on my card, on Steve's card. The first 2 rounds are to Floyd Mayweather, but Steve thinking that maybe the judges on aggression alone might well have gone for Pacquiao in that 2nd round. Is a controversy brewing on another big night of boxing action here in Las Vegas, live on 5 Live from the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Pacquiao goes in winging with a right hook. It misses by a long way as Mayweather swivels around towards his left and back towards the centre of the ring with those shimmering red gloves of his, which have landed the most solid punches so far. He tries a right hand again. This time Pacquiao saw it coming, dropped to shoulder and made Mayweather miss. They're so clever, these two. There's so much skill in a single ring here. We're privileged to be ringside for 2 all-time greats. And a nice right hand towards the body from Mayweather, and Pacquiao looks to the referee complaining that it might have been low. It looked to me as though it was right on the waistband, the red waistband of his otherwise yellow trunks. Pacquiao gets through with a left hand, but Mayweather takes it well. The crowd roar. Now Pacquiao tries to open up on the ropes, but once again he's held by Mayweather, and the crowd are booing once again. And Oscar De La Hoya, for one, was saying that Kenny Bayless might favour the way that Mayweather fights in this fight in terms of the holding and using that defensive genius. Now Pacquiao goes after his man once again. Mayweather is close to his own corner. It's the blue corner furthest away as we look. Pacquiao tries to open up again. The crowd really rallying their man here, but the shots are landing on the forearms of Mayweather. But is it enough? Is it aggression enough for the judges to score it in favour of Pacquiao? 1 minute and 20 seconds to go in round 3. Mayweather lunges in with a right hand. It's taken on the left glove by Pacquiao. Pacquiao comes back now as his face is beginning to get slightly more marked than Mayweather's. Mayweather lands a right hand, but it wasn't that solid. Pacquiao gets off with a left hand. Mayweather makes him miss, sees that coming. He read it and moved comfortably out of the way. Mayweather flicks out a jab and then steps back into his own corner, almost leans into Pacquiao as if to say, here's the chin, try and hit it if you can. They work away inside now. Once again Mayweather grabs Pacquiao in a stranglehold with his left arm around the neck of the Filipino hero. Sunday lunchtime back home in the Philippines. Everybody will be watching in whatever way they can or listening to the radio for the progress of their hero. Can he greatly endorse his legacy here tonight by becoming the first man as a professional to beat Floyd Mayweather? Mayweather tries a left jab, that missed, but the right hand just grazed the chin of Pacquiao. Another inch further forward. If Mayweather had stepped in, that could have been trouble. A right hand to the body from Mayweather. Last few seconds of this, the 3rd round. Pacquiao steps after his man once again. Tries a winging right hook towards the torso area. Feints with a left hand. Good right hook from Pacquiao, gets through. And Mayweather dances away. He lands a solid right hand as well as the fight, just for a few seconds, comes to life at the end of that 3rd round. And virtually everybody in the Grand Garden Arena on their feet for one single success of a right hand from Manny Pacquiao. They are willing their man here. If they could get into the ring with him, they would. This is so partisan here, and Pacquiao there had success at the end of the round, Steve, which brought about that kind of reaction. Yeah, a little bit of success at the end of the round, but more than that, Mike, he just turned and faced the crowd and gave them a big smile. That's what they're doing. They're hanging on to not just his every punch, they're hanging on to his every single facial movement. If he's smiling, they're smiling with him. Still Manny Pacquiao missed. What we did see there, though, was once or twice when Pacquiao didn't overcommit once he'd backed Mayweather up, which is what he should have been doing in the first 2 rounds. And at that point, Mayweather had to fight. And that was very interesting. It was right in front of us on the bell just when he got called, when Mayweather had to fight. If you let Mayweather hold, he'll hold you. If you don't get close enough, he can't hold you. So the bell sounds then for round number 4, and what an absorbing contest this is building into between these two all-time great performers, each of whom has had 7 world title fights in the welterweight division. But they've won world titles in 6 weight divisions. As far as Pacquiao is concerned, 5 weight divisions for Floyd Mayweather. Pacquiao goes to the body with a left hand, but it's smothered by the gloves of Mayweather. Mayweather moves to the ropes on the far side, now just steps to his right, back to his left, lateral movement, keeping Pacquiao guessing so that Pacquiao can't get off and will have to lunge in. Now Pacquiao lets go with 3 successive punches, taken on the shoulder and the elbows by Mayweather, who almost beckons his man forward once again. Mayweather has his back to the red corner, Pacquiao's corner just above us here, and he hasn't moved. He's voluntarily gone straight back into that corner, trying to draw Pacquiao onto that right hand. He throws the right hand, but Pacquiao saw it coming and just swayed back out of range. Then Pacquiao comes back into range with a right-left combination. The left hand just grazed the chin of Mayweather. Pacquiao tries to drive his man back to the ropes just above us here. We're looking at the back of Floyd Mayweather. A left hand gets through from Pacquiao, but again, not with any real effectiveness. A jab from Mayweather, a punch that he's actually been neglecting for most of the contest so far. Right hand over the top from Mayweather, just didn't time it right again, just didn't get the accuracy to land plumb on the chin. He flicks out a couple of jabs now. They do work for Mayweather. It's a good shot of his. It's a very potent weapon. And now he flicks it out again, and a left hand from Manny Pacquiao gets through. Floyd Mayweather under pressure on the ropes. 1 minute and 15 seconds to go in round 4, and Manny Pacquiao now steps off, tries to find punching room. Has he lost that killer instinct as his trainer Freddie Roach feared? He had Mayweather under pressure on the ropes. Did he fear maybe a sucker punch? Manny, they say, as he opens out once again, and Mayweather shakes his head, but he was certainly caught there. And another right hook from Pacquiao lands flush on the chin of Mayweather, who smiles, which is sometimes a certain sign that he's hurt. 44 seconds to go in round 4, and the best punches of the fight and the most frequent action from Manny Pacquiao in this 4th round, as Mayweather is hit and stung time and again. Pacquiao goes after his man now. The best round of the fight so far for the Filipino. He claps his gloves together here. One final effort he's looking for in this 4th round. 20 seconds to go, although he drops his hands and takes a right hand. Mayweather swivels away back to the centre of the ring, draws that shoulder around in front of his chin. That's one of his defensive aspects that's been so impressive down the years, but it let him down in this round because he's been hit hard by Manny Pacquiao. But now at the end of the round, Mayweather lands with a solid straight right hand, and once again everybody here at ringside, virtually everybody in the MGM Grand Garden Arena, on their feet for that, the best round of the contest so far for Manny Pacquiao.
They're getting the round they wanted. We're getting the fight we wanted, Mike. We had a tentative first round. It's picked up each round, each second, each minute of each round. On the ropes there, Mike, I don't agree with you. What I think happened is I think Manny realised he wasn't getting through, so he didn't just step off, he walked away. There we go, we've just seen it there on the replay, and I tell you why he's doing that. He knows if he hasn't caught him with a second or the cover-up punch, he'll recover, because not only has Floyd got a great defence, he can recover. We saw that against Shane Mosley when he should have been out. There's some of those shots are getting through, and if they're not getting through, they're still concussive, they're still hurtful, and then he moves away. I think he did it sensibly.
Floyd Mayweather under pressure during the 4th round. How will he respond? Champions usually come straight back into the fray. On our card now, it's 2 rounds apiece. 2 to Floyd Mayweather and 2 to Manny Pacquiao. It couldn't be closer. A jab from Mayweather gets through at the start of this, the 5th round. He throws a couple of limp, lazy left jabs, just Mayweather. Then he overreaches with a right hand towards the body, but the follow-up left jab just rocks back the head of Pacquiao. Pacquiao lunges in with a left hand to the body, which landed. The follow-up right hand to the head did not. Right hand over the top from Mayweather once again. He's trying all the time to time that sharp, straight right hand as Pacquiao launches his attacks. He clearly thinks, and his father, Floyd Mayweather Sr., that straight right hand is a huge key to the outcome of this fight and to the success or otherwise of Floyd Mayweather, as the crowd once again get behind their favourite. Pacquiao, who had such success in that round, darts in with a jab, just grazes the side of the head of Mayweather, who drops the left arm in the centre of the ring and once again drags that shoulder around in front of his chin, flicks out a couple of jabs but doesn't step in behind them, just really using them as rangefinders, and now lands 2 successive right hands, does Mayweather. Pacquiao is the one who smiles this time, and they touch gloves as they come back to the centre of the ring. A flicking jab from Pacquiao lands on the head of Mayweather, who drops both of his arms and swaggers away, rolling the gloves around about waist height as Pacquiao decides on what his next move will be here at the halfway stage of the round. Another really strong right hand from Mayweather gets through, landing high on the head of Pacquiao, and a second right hand from Mayweather, this time to the body. He's varying the delivery of that right hand to the body and to the head. The most damage has been done to the head so far, and with a minute just over to go in this round, it's been a better round for Mayweather. Again, he tries that right hand. This time he telegraphed it. This time Pacquiao saw it coming, and Mayweather, through no fault of his own, wound up with his arm around the neck of Pacquiao, but that was enough excuse for the crowd to boo once again here. Mayweather's on the front foot here, a rare foray onto the front foot as he tries to drive Pacquiao back onto the ropes with footwork first of all. Again, Mayweather whips in the right hand. This time it missed by a long way, but it's clear that that's the punch that he sees as the key ingredient to his success here this evening. He moves away now, and again the crowd boo for the negative tactics of Floyd Mayweather, but it's worked so well and so often in the past. He draws the fighters in, he makes them make mistakes. They get so frustrated at having limited success that they expose themselves and leave themselves open to his brilliant counter punches. Just the last dozen seconds or so in round number 5, and Mayweather has reasserted in this round as Pacquiao goes on to the front foot now. Mayweather tentative with the right hand, he was out of distance and then virtually runs away and almost collides with the ropes, falls off balance but goes back to his corner now. And Steve, I thought Mayweather was back on top in that round.
He was back on top in that round, and what he did in that round, he hadn't done it in the fight. He doesn't do it in very many fights till he gets people hurt or in trouble, as he went over the front foot. As soon as he went over the front foot, I'm amazed at how easy it was for him to push Manny Pacquiao back. That's not part of the plan. If I'm in Floyd Mayweather's corner now, I'm shutting everyone up, I'm talking to him, and I'm saying, jab, go forward, then do something, then walk away. If he keeps backing off, eventually he'll get trapped again. Because what Manny's also doing now, Mike, is he's not following him, he's cutting him off. He's cutting him off. Once Mayweather pushes him back, look, we can see it here on a replay. I know you can't see it, you're listening. I am telling you, once he goes back, once he's pushed back, he can't throw a punch from his back foot, Pacquiao.
So the fight of the century, live on BBC 5 Live from ringside, just a few feet away in the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Steve, before the bell, how have you got it after 5?
3-2 to Mayweather.
And I have 2. Mayweather leading by 3 rounds to 2 as we head into round number 6. As far as betting is concerned, the favourite bet was for this fight to go the entire 12-round distance and for Mayweather to win on points. He flicks out a couple of jabs at the start of this, the 6th round, then tries to open up with a right hand as a flurry from Pacquiao collides only once again with the arms and the gloves of Mayweather, and in the centre of the ring the crowd could see that clearly, and so there wasn't the kind of cheer that we've seen for some of the forward moves and the attacking onslaughts of Pacquiao. Lovely left-right combination from Mayweather, caught Pacquiao on the way in. It didn't sting the Filipino, but it caught him, and now Pacquiao tried to land a left hand of his own. Once again the right hand from Mayweather is avoided by Pacquiao. This time the Filipinos saw it coming, and they're just getting a bit angry inside. They're starting to talk to each other here, but now they touch gloves once again, and the lack of animosity in the build-up to the fight being shown here again. There's such deep respect among these two men, and why not, after all they've done in their careers? 43 world title fights. A flicking left jab from Mayweather in the centre of the ring, lands on the high part of the head of Pacquiao. A lovely short crisp right hand again from Mayweather lands as Pacquiao comes forward. Then Pacquiao lets go with a right left combination of his own, but Mayweather saw them, read them, just swiveled underneath as if Pacquiao had sent him an email to tell him those punches were coming. He's seeing them so soon. Back to the centre of the ring now comes Floyd Mayweather, almost leaning in towards Pacquiao once again, tempting him with that chin. Hit it if you can, he says, and now he backs off once again, tries the right hand. Pacquiao leaning in with the left hand, but didn't have the feet firmly planted on the floor. Pacquiao opens up as Mayweather covers up on the ropes now and just shakes his head, and all the time Pacquiao is only landing on the arms and the gloves of Mayweather, and that's why once again he stepped off. He aborted the attack because he's been told by Freddie Roach that he knows Mayweather waits for the end of an attack and then he throws the counter punch. So rather than allow him to do that, so Pacquiao stepped off. Right hand to the body from Mayweather gets through. He took a short, sharp left hand in reply, but it didn't quite land solidly. Pacquiao opens up once again, and not for the first time. He steps off away from the attack because he knows that the ploy of Mayweather is to wait for you to punch and punch and punch to come to the end of the flurry, and then he will sting you with a right hand or a left hook. He tries that right hand. He's standing stock still in Pacquiao's own corner, just above us here. Flicks out a jab, lands on the chin of Pacquiao. Pacquiao now looking for a way in. How can he open the door? Where can he find the keys to this puzzle that is Floyd Mayweather? The May Vinci Code, he says, and no one's cracked it yet. 10 seconds to go in round number 6. Mayweather flicks out another beautiful jab and a second one at the end of this round. The third one is avoided by Pacquiao, but Pacquiao has found it very difficult to get anywhere close to Mayweather again at the end of the 6th round. Steve Bunce.
Also, Mike, Manny is quite severely marked up under the right eye. That's from the jab. It was a punch Mayweather didn't throw for a few rounds, just started to throw it, just starting to show it. They're getting a little bit desperate, they're getting a bit reckless, and I like that.
Let's just have a word and hear what Floyd Mayweather Sr. is saying.
I don't know what's wrong with you, man, for real.
Well, Floyd Mayweather Sr. is not a happy man. I don't know what's wrong with you, man, for real. And now Floyd Mayweather is staring out of the ring. So there's a lack of chemistry there.
It is not.
Well, he's telling him to throw right uppercuts. What he wants him to do is to open up. He told us on 5 Live the other night, Floyd Sr., that he wanted Floyd to walk Pacquiao down. He's convinced he's too strong and hits too hard. And he was angry in the corner there, although we've got Mayweather leading at halfway by 4 rounds to 2. Now, as Pacquiao comes to the centre of the ring, he takes another one of those left jabs as Mayweather goes onto the front foot. A second jab lands from Mayweather at the beginning of this, the 7th round. He steps forward now with a right hand, a lunging right hand from Mayweather. Don't often see that from him, a man of his skill and his timing and his accuracy. And Pacquiao saw it coming and just moved away towards the centre of the ring. But Mayweather gets on the front foot once again. Is he trying to obey his father, or does a genius just do it his way, like Ali did it with the rope-a-dope in the Rumble in the Jungle, and like others have done it in the past? A jab from Manny Pacquiao gets through. Manny, Manny, the crowd chant once again, but he's had precious few successes in the last couple of rounds. And a good jab from Mayweather catches Pacquiao hard. Pacquiao reels away. He was slightly off balance because he was about to lunge in himself, but that was strong from Mayweather. A sharp jab just as the minute was up in this 7th round. Pacquiao now comes after his man. Right hand from Mayweather lands once again as Pacquiao leans in towards it as he attempted to mount attack of his own. Centre of the ring now. Mayweather getting so confident, so nonchalant that he drops the arms virtually down beneath his waist. He sways, tries a right hand, lands on the left glove of Pacquiao. Pacquiao jumps in with a jab, but then almost leans away immediately for fear of that wicked counter-punching skill of Mayweather. Mayweather rolls away, slightly awkward on his feet, but he gets safely to the far side of the ring. Tries a jab and then a right hand, and Pacquiao slips underneath. All the boos are for Mayweather here, but it was Pacquiao ducking very low as well that caused that particular problem. Jab from Mayweather lands in the centre of the ring. A second one lands only on the gloves of Pacquiao, but that jab has been an effective punch for Mayweather in the last couple of rounds. A minute to go in round 7 in the centre of the ring. 2 jabs again from Mayweather. You can hear the snort as he throws those punches and puts every ounce of effort and timing into them. Now he lifts the gloves, Mayweather waits for Pacquiao to make that move. He's still keeping the Filipino guessing. Still, Manny Pacquiao tries a left hand and goes after Mayweather, but Mayweather just managed to deflect that punch and got some glove on it himself. Now he tries a left hook, does Mayweather. Comes back towards the centre of the ring inside the last half a minute of round number 7. Pacquiao once again only having sporadic success in this round. tries a right-left combination. Mayweather steps back 5 or 6 inches, and so those punches of Pacquiao connect only with thin air, as there's another left hand to the body and a right hook which Mayweather swayed away from on the ropes just above us. Pacquiao, another left-right combination. It's been so successful against so many opponents down the years, but not Floyd Mayweather, not yet anyway. End of round 7, Steve Bunce.
Yeah, I thought that was quite a big Floyd Mayweather round, to be honest with you. Mike seemed to slow it down. He went over his front foot, then didn't do anything. He sort of flummoxed Pacquiao slightly there, where Pacquiao seemed a bit stuck. Wasn't sure quite what to do. I looked at the clock. It was 1 minute 19 left, so nearly 1 minute 41 seconds in before Pacquiao actually got his act together in that round. So I'm expecting him to come out fired up for this round. He surrendered too much space. He surrendered too much time, and I think he surrendered that round easier than any of the other rounds previously in the fight that either of them have won.
Okay. Listening to Freddie Roach there, actually asking Manny Pacquiao if he's all right. I think he's concerned there about his general mood here, because he's had so few successes in recent rounds. Absolutely.
The round before, there was not a lot in it. I mean, Mayweather could have nicked it, but I'm starting to think a little bit about the way the judges are going to be scoring him. That round wasn't good. He didn't look good in that round, Manny.
So we move into round number 8. And the conclusion of the second third of this fascinating contest, the fight of the century. But Mayweather threatening to take command now. On our cards, he's won the last 3 rounds, and he's leading by 5 rounds to 2 for me and for Steve Bunce. Into round number 8, a jab from Mayweather. Once again, he neglected that for the first few rounds, but he's been really opening up Pacquiao with that shot in recent rounds. And now Pacquiao swings with a right hook. Mayweather just sways back out of range. Left hand from Pacquiao does get through. That one did land, and it forced Mayweather to just bring the gloves up momentarily. Now a jab from Pacquiao once again gets through, but once again he doesn't follow up, and he takes a strong left hand on the way in. Pacquiao, he missed with a flailing shot to the body and then got clipped with a nice jab come hook by Mayweather, who holds his gloves very high at this stage in the centre of the ring and flicks out a couple of jabs from that high held stance. Another jab from Mayweather. They are landing. They're not particularly landing stiffly, but they are getting through from Mayweather. And once again, when Pacquiao opens up, there's almost a smirk on the face of Mayweather, as if to say, is that all you've got? Is that what made you an all-time great? Still the crowd try to get behind their man as Mayweather steps towards the centre of the ring, trying to control every aspect of the contest. He throws a right hand, Mayweather. Didn't get the timing right that time, but Pacquiao wasn't sharp enough to counter. Jab to the body from Mayweather. A second jab to the body, trying to draw down the arms of Pacquiao and perhaps pinging one of those right hands to the chin, which he does there. Mayweather lands again with a solid straight right hand. 1 minute and 20 seconds to go in round 8 as Pacquiao drives Mayweather back to the red corner. It's Pacquiao's own corner, but it doesn't feel like home right now as Mayweather switches again to the centre of the ring. And at times with that jab, you get the sense he's toying with Pacquiao, and he switches it to a left hook, lands a left hook twice in a row, does Mayweather now. Single pot shots, and they wing their way in over the right-hand glove of Manny Pacquiao. Beautifully accurate, wonderful timing from Mayweather in the centre of the ring. Flicks out another of those jabs. Pacquiao is swaying from the waist. He's done it throughout his career. He's tried to keep opponents guessing, but Mayweather at this stage is working him out and goes after his man. Tries a right hand. Left hand from Pacquiao gets through as Mayweather was just slightly off balance and moving away himself of his own volition. Again now Mayweather tries that chopping left hook as Pacquiao came forward. He missed, as did Pacquiao. Pacquiao gets through with just a flicker of a jab as Mayweather almost took his chin out of the danger area. Last few seconds of round number 8. A flicking jab from Mayweather. Another right hand over the top from Mayweather. Again, they didn't really land. They just grazed the top of the head of Manny Pacquiao. You hear the rapping of the sticks on the canvas from the timekeeper. Last 10 seconds of round number 8. Pacquiao steps forward, feints to throw a jab to the body, a jab to the head now, tries to open up on the ropes at the end of the round as Floyd Mayweather walks very calmly and, you have to say, nonchalantly back to his corner.
Back in the bag for Floyd Mayweather there. I think Floyd sensed something in that round. After about a minute, Mike, I think he sensed something. And you're in the ring, and you can sense your opponent. You can see it in his eyes. You can sense his body language. It just seemed to me, as we see a replay there, Manny landing a good left, it just seemed to me that Floyd sensed something different there in the way Manny was coming back at him. And I sensed something different in the way Manny was coming back at Floyd also. He didn't seem to let those punches go that he was doing 2 or 3, 4 and 5 rounds ago. He didn't seem so desperate or so urgent to get in close. And I'm going back through my nose to see if he was clipped back in the 6th round, because the last 2 rounds he hasn't been right. He hasn't been good. Of course, that also corresponds with Floyd Mayweather Sr. giving his son an all-four rollicking in the corner. 2 very interesting rounds.
And because Floyd Mayweather Sr., I think, is convinced that his son could be much more impressive here and might even stop Pacquiao inside the distance. As I said earlier in the week, he was convinced that his son would punch too hard for Pacquiao. He has had a lot of success so far, but Pacquiao hasn't looked like going over. A clipping left hand from Mayweather lands. It's the first scoring punch of round number 9. Pacquiao goes after his man once again, claps his hands and his gloves together as if to say, come on, let's try and find something in this, the final third of the contest. We've had half a minute in round number 9. Pacquiao goes on the front foot, a jab and then a left hand, but Mayweather sees the follow attack coming, moves laterally away, tries to whip in a left hook, but didn't quite find the range or the timing with that shot. Flicks out a jab now, Mayweather, as he backs off onto the ropes once again. He's waiting for the right hand. Beautiful right hand from Mayweather, gets through. A sharp jab in response from Pacquiao, but the better of those 2 punches in that particular exchange was the sharp right hand from Floyd Mayweather, who backs off onto the same position by Pacquiao's own corner, which is just above us here ringside at the MGM Grand Garden Arena, where so many of the great fights in boxing have taken place over the past 2 decades. Jab lands on the side of the head of Mayweather for Pacquiao. One of his few successes in this round so far. Jab from Mayweather gets through. It's a much more solid shot. Now a left hand from Pacquiao lands almost simultaneously with a jab from Mayweather. And the 2 men here still very much keeping each other guessing at times, trying to work each other out as Pacquiao steps onto the front foot. How can he get through to body or head? How can he land cleanly? And how can he land cleanly more than once? And he takes the risk of throwing a left hand and gets hit with a right hand in response, because Mayweather moved away out of range and then swayed back into range with a lovely pinpoint right hand. Jab from Pacquiao, just repositions his shorts and gets set for another attack. Minute to go in round number 9. Pacquiao drives Mayweather onto the ropes above us here at ringside. An exchange on the ropes, but nothing of any significance landed on either side. They move away now in terms of Mayweather to his left, towards the centre of the ring once again. He's got the left hand held low, not so much of the shoulder showing in front of the chin at this stage. He tries a right hand, it collides with the left hand of Pacquiao, who was trying to throw exactly the same shot, a big backhand onto the chin of his opponent. Now Mayweather feints with a jab, just about to throw the jab, feinted and thought twice about a follow-up right hand. Pacquiao takes a right hand on the chin once again. This has been a quieter round in terms of scoring for both men. Last 15 seconds or so of the round as Pacquiao charges forward, lands a good left hand to the body in a round that little scoring has been done in. Maybe Pacquiao is looking for that last flurry that might impress the judges. Another right hand over the top from Mayweather as Pacquiao just drops those hands and gets careless on the way in. Bell sounds at the end of round 9. Steve Bunce, how did you see that one?
Well, I'm going to give that to Pacquiao because it's that little bit more pressure. I think the first minute or so he was hitting him with clean. Mayweather was catching him with cleaner jabs. It's a bit of it's an odd fight the last 2 or 3 rounds. That round there, I found that round extremely odd, Mike. I thought there were times there when it looked like Mayweather was teeing up Pacquiao to take him out, and I'm just wondering if, hey, come on, they're only human. I wonder.
Be careful with the elbow, okay? Here we go.
Sorry, Steve, I just butted in there because the referee appeared in the corner of Floyd Mayweather, and I just wondered what was on there. They're applying some more tape to one of his gloves. At one stage, I thought he had a problem with that left hand, but also referee Kenny Bayliss is saying be careful with the elbow.
Well, in all fairness to Floyd, and he does use that elbow as his third fist. He hasn't used it here tonight whatsoever. Manny hasn't given him the space for it. It just seemed to me, Mike, just to go back to my earlier point, that he was that Mayweather was trying to tee Pacquiao up for a stoppage. Now, that may not just be confidence. That might be because he's getting tired.
A touch of gloves at the beginning of the 10th round. 2 men who have such deep respect for each other, and we became fully aware of that almost from the start of the build-up to this contest. They've won world titles in 11 weight divisions between them, and on our card at this stage, Manny Pacquiao has won 3 of the completed rounds. We have Mayweather leading by 6 rounds to 3. It's a fairly subdued atmosphere here at this stage, partly because the fan favourite Manny Pacquiao hasn't had so much success in the last few rounds, although we just shaded the previous round, the 9th, to him. Quiet start to this, the 10th round. 40 seconds gone, and Mayweather in the centre of the ring, just getting slightly agitated, almost fainted with the left hand, flicks out the left hand, but it's no more than placing it on the head of Manny Pacquiao rather than really driving it through. And just 1 or 2 boos ringing around once again in this MGM Grand Garden Arena as Mayweather gets off with a left-right combination. Pacquiao tries to open up, but again it's so difficult to land anything clean anywhere on Mayweather, as another 2-punch combination from Pacquiao fails to succeed. He lands only on the forearm and then punched thin air with the second shot as Mayweather moved away. Good work by Mayweather. He leans in towards his man once again. Tries a right hand, that time just short of the target, which was Pacquiao's chin. He's landed solidly to body and head at times here, has Mayweather, but hasn't landed with real frequency. He's been pot-shotting as he does. Another lovely right hand, times it on the way in as Pacquiao once again goes to the body with a left hand, then a right hook as a follow-up. But again, Mayweather so calm, so confident, staring at his man, reading his every move, second-guessing everything he's doing, like the snooker player who's potting the red but already thinking about the black and the next red. Every time he's guessing what Mayweather's got in mind right throughout the attacks. Neutral corner just above us here. Another right hand lands from Mayweather. Not too hard, but enough to score for sure. He dances away. He likes his work. He admires his work. There's a spring in the step of Mayweather here. Left hand lands from Pacquiao in the neutral corner, which Mayweather elects not to leave at this stage. Flicks out a jab, tries to get set for a left hook. Again, Pacquiao opens up and steps away. Doesn't want to expose himself in there to a short, sharp counter. Throws a spurt and then moves away to the centre of the ring. Last half a minute of round number 10. Mayweather comes back to the centre of the ring where he's been the dominant factor in the fight, in particular with the left hand and the straight right from the orthodox stance, the backhand, that powerful shot that he used so well so often against Marcos Maidana. Tougher task here against Manny Pacquiao, but on our card he's managing to rise to the occasion, to rise to the task. Once again you hear the timekeeper wrapping the sticks. 10 seconds to go. And this, the 10th round. Pacquiao tries to cut off the ring space, the escape routes for Mayweather. But Mayweather sees the jab coming, slides underneath, and just looks at him with a glare of contempt at the end of that 10th round.
Forget the glare of contempt. Did you see what happened there? Pacquiao looked out the ring where there's a look of thunder on his face, and he smashed his fists together. He's not stupid. He's been in too many fights at too many levels. He's disappointed. He knows he's losing control of this fight. He needs a knockout now, Mike, and that would be not just a knockout, that would be a fluke shot. Let's get it right.
It is interesting, Steve, how you don't get the sense of urgency from Manny Pacquiao. And look, I understand that he can't go lunging in, he can't go marauding forward, but just in his general demeanour, he doesn't seem like he really wants to close down the ring space.
Mike, this is Manny's house in here tonight. Let's get that absolutely straight. It's gone quiet. It's gone subdued. Even when Manny did stage a couple of half-hearted attacks there, it didn't really lift. They're not stupid here tonight. They paid a lot of money. They know what they're watching, and their man's losing.
So 10 rounds completed and more success for Mayweather at the start of the round. Now I wonder, will he attempt to finish it off here? As he did with Ricky Hatton, gradually broke him down. He lands a very solid right hand at the beginning of this round and then a left-right combination as well. And Pacquiao saw his head shaken, but Pacquiao gamely comes forward once again. He tries a left hand to the body. The left hand to the body works, but the rest of the flurry thrown by Pacquiao didn't. 2 left hands and then a right hand get through from Mayweather. Another touch of gloves there, a slight infringement as Pacquiao slipped on the canvas there. Mayweather just flicks out another one of those jabs. All the time he's using this jab now as a rangefinder for the right hand. We're coming towards the final 45 seconds with the Final 2 minutes 15 seconds of the 11th round, and Mayweather lands another crisp, sharp uppercut onto the chin of Pacquiao, but Pacquiao takes it well. There's grease smeared all around that chin of his. He takes the shot well and comes straight back to the centre of the ring, but a lovely, crisp right uppercut. Another punch in the repertoire of Mayweather. Strong left hand from Pacquiao gets through. The crowd cheer. He tries to follow up. Mayweather sees it coming and then once again contemptuously just moves away towards his left and makes Pacquiao miss. Pacquiao getting tentative on the way in because he's taking heavy shots when he's being made to miss. And there he thought twice about the attack. Landed again to the body, did Pacquiao, but not nearly hard enough to trouble Floyd Mayweather. Halfway stage of round number 11. Pacquiao opens up once again. The crowd don't cheer because they're realizing that these attacks aren't having the effect that they thought they were earlier in the contest. 2 more jabs from Mayweather and then another pinpoint right hand. Pacquiao falls in off balance again as he lunges and desperately tries to land that big left hand of his that's caused so many problems for opponents down the years. The one that dispatched Ricky Hatton in 2 rounds. The one that floored Juan Manuel Marquez 3 times in the first round of their first encounter. But Mayweather here is much more difficult to nail. He moves away now smoothly, almost saunters away to his own corner, blue corner, far side of the ring. Pacquiao tries to open up, but for his pains takes another sharp right hand, and there's a smirk on the face of Mayweather, who flicks out another jab. A right hand from Mayweather. They're single shots, but he's finding the target time and time again. Another left hand from Mayweather, and the crowd almost gasp there as if they've taken the punch themselves, because their man is second best here in the 11th round. Manny Pacquiao just cannot get close to Mayweather, who's flicking out the jab. If this is a Mayweather in decline, then I'd like to have seen him when he was at his best. He flicks out the jab, then a right hand over the top does Mayweather. This time it's Pacquiao who does the avoiding, who makes Mayweather miss. Mayweather dances towards the ropes on the far side of the ring, swaying left and right. There's a rolling of the shoulders. He claps the gloves here now. This is turning into a brilliant display by Floyd Mayweather at the end of the round, as Mayweather goes back to his corner after another terrific performance.
Yeah, what a contrast, the 2 men wandering back to their corners. Even the corner men jumping up. Suddenly there was half a smile on Floyd Senior's face and an enormous smile on Floyd Junior's face. Manny went back and for the first time didn't make any eye contact, not a single bit of eye contact with Freddie Roach or any of the other guys get in the ring. He looked out with blank eyes and turned around and sat down, and he's got that look, and fighters have it when they know they're losing. They can look straight at you, but they're not looking at you, they're looking at something that they can't fathom. They can't work it out what it is, and that's half the problem here, I think, with Manny. You can just see how disconsolate he is. Mike, he can't work out why he can't get close to him. He can't work out why he's not having more success. He can't work out why, after all these years, he can't solve this guy he's fighting. Manny Pacquiao looks a bit broken at this point, Mike.
Last round, Steve, how have you got it?
7-4.
And so the 2 men embrace in centre ring. The last 3 minutes of the fight so eagerly awaited, and on our cards, Mayweather is heading towards victory, heading towards endorsing that already bulging reputation of his now. The crowd now getting behind their man for one last effort. Can he produce a sensation here? Because that's what he needs. It's the kind of sensation that only all-time greats can produce, but he's in against one. That's the problem for Pacquiao here. 30 seconds gone in the 12th and final round. Mayweather stands his ground this time in the centre of the ring, tries to land a jab, so too does Pacquiao. The 2 hands meet in mid-air in the centre of the ring. Another jab from Mayweather is avoided, eluded by Pacquiao, but Pacquiao takes one on the side of the face as he charges forward. He almost runs after Mayweather now. This last desperate surge from Manny Pacquiao, attempting to avoid what will be the 6th defeat of his professional career. Right hand over the top, timed well by Floyd Mayweather once again. It looks like it's a safety first policy for Mayweather in this, the final round. Surely he believes he's got it in the bank. Lovely left hand from Pacquiao lands. Shame it didn't happen earlier in the contest to give him more confidence and to maybe shake the confidence of Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather lands with a lovely left hook, leads off with a left hook. Very difficult punch to throw, very difficult punch to time. Halfway stage then of the 12th and final round, and still the pattern of the fight well established as Mayweather just steps off into his own corner, the blue corner, far side of the ring. They're separated by the referee. Mayweather up on his toes, he's dancing here, he's starting to enjoy this as Pacquiao comes forward, tries a left hand to the body, almost had success then with a follow-up left hand to the chin. Mayweather in the centre of the ring now. He's waiting for Pacquiao to throw the first shot, as he's done so often in the contest, and then use his speed and his guile and his boxing brain to take advantage. Final minute then of the 12th and final round. We waited so long for this contest. Mayweather was the favourite, and he's boxing like the favourite here. And again, the crowd now sensing just 45 seconds to go and urging Manny Pacquiao to get after their man. Floyd Mayweather now darting laterally, left to right, right to left, keeping out of danger. He's smiling now, tries a crisp right hand over the top. Pacquiao almost skips after his man. Mayweather throws a jab. Last 30 seconds of the 12th round. Pacquiao going after his man once again. Mayweather here tries a right hand, takes a jab from Pacquiao. Pacquiao attempts to open up. Mayweather, though, so calm and so composed in the face of adversity as he just withstands another one of those attacks from Pacquiao. Pacquiao tries a long looping left hand over the top, but Mayweather steps off once again. Last few seconds, he raises his right glove. He understands here, Mayweather, that he's done enough, as do all the crowd here. They boo towards the end. The final bell sounds. Pacquiao raises both arms. Floyd Mayweather jumps up onto the second set of ropes, looks around the arena, doesn't quite get the kind of ovation he was hoping for, but that was a superb performance of defensive brilliance from Floyd Mayweather. Once again, not the kind of blood and thunder that many people would have wanted, but he's beaten another all-time great here, Steve, on our cards.
Mike, we had 4 or 5 rounds of what passes for blood and thunder when Floyd Mayweather fights. The third and the fourth rounds were absolutely fantastic. The third was the third and the fourth were good. The second was good, and 1 or 2 of the later rounds were interesting. There were some bizarre rounds where Manny seemed to just fall away, fade away, not push it, not chase him. And I'm a bit surprised now. I'm looking at Manny smiling now. I don't know if he's meant to be smiling, is he, Mike? There's Jinky, his wife, looking very upset. He lost the fight. 8-4, I've got it. I think you've got it 9-3. 8-4, I've got it.
I've got it the same as you, Steve. I've got it 116, 112, which equates to 8 rounds to 4. They still look pretty happy in the corner of Manny Pacquiao here. We've seen some strange decisions here in Las Vegas in the past, but I thought much the cleaner punching here was done virtually throughout the fight by Floyd Mayweather. The rounds that Pacquiao won, he won with clusters of punches.
It certainly was the cleaner punches that won the rounds, but there were 2 rounds, Mike, where we both agreed that if they were scoring it on flurries and what looks busy and what looks like the busier man, then you would have given them, in theory, you would have given them to the other man. I didn't. I gave those rounds, both of those rounds, to Mayweather.
And we're still waiting for the official announcement. The scorecards have been handed up to Jimmy Lennon Jr. Michael Buffer waiting there also, and the 2 men have had their gloves removed, and Floyd Mayweather jumping up onto the ropes on our side of the ring here, looking for some kind of acclaim from the crowd, but he's getting nothing here but boos. The sound of hostility which he's become so used to down the years, and still we await the official verdict here for the fight that was so long in the making. 5 or 6 years ago they first sat down to negotiate, and they said that the 2 men had declined, and now there's a warm embrace in Pacquiao's corner just above us here. The 2 men clasping and hugging now just above us here at ringside, as we still wait for these scorecards to be officially looked at by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, who sanction all the big fights here, and then handed to the 2 ring announcers, Jimmy Lennon Jr. and Michael Buffer.
It's going to be very interesting, because I'm looking at faces. I don't care about what's happening in and around the ring. I'm trying to find Bob Aaron's face. I'm trying to find Leonard Ellaby, who serves as Mayweather's de facto promoter. I can't see any of their faces. There's nothing to tell. I'm looking at Buffer's face. I'm looking at Jimmy Lennon's face. Well, not a lot of Buffer's face moves, as you can imagine. And as a poker face, I can't see a single thing here. No one's given away a single solitary clue. That crowd you heard, the noise you heard there from the crowd, was Pacquiao finally taking himself to the ropes. Pacquiao doesn't look, Mike, we're seeing a close-up there, like a man that's just won. He looks like a man resigned to defeat, and I thought that was in the 6th or the 7th round. He looked like he changed. He looked like he just lost something in his game, and that was when I pointed out, I think at the end of the 7th round, that Floyd sensed it too and went at him.
And Manny Pacquiao now jumps up onto the ropes on our side of the ring to take the acclaim of the other half of the arena here. Leonard Ellaby who's basically Floyd Mayweather's right-hand man, has just walked across the ring, and on the left flank of Michael Buffer Jr. has just put 2 thumbs up. He thinks that his man has done enough. But when you look at the 2 ring announcers, Steve, and you wait this long for the scorecards, you always wonder if they're totting up close cards to make sure they've got it right.
Mike, it was almost inconceivable that we'd have a fight that would go this long, where there were at least 4 or 5 rounds that were tricky.
Rounds of boxing here at the MGM Grand. We go to the scorecards.
Judge at ringside, Dave Moretti scores about 118 to 110. Judges Bert Clements and Glenn Feldman both scored about the same, 116 to 112. All 3 in favor of the winner by unanimous decision. He is now the unified WBC, WBA, and WBO welterweight champion of the world, and still undefeated, Floyd Mayweather.
Well, whatever the sound of hostility in this arena here, someday soon everybody here will realize they are in the presence of greatness. They will realize it was a privilege to be here this evening to watch the man who has extended his unbeaten record to 48 fights. They said this was the biggest test of his career. How he rose to the challenge. Floyd Mayweather endorses his status as an all-time great.
Yeah, that's a fair comment, Mike, because what he's done here tonight with Manny Pacquiao, he may not have dropped him, he may not have hurt him, he may not have stunned him, but he's broken his heart. And it's harder, far harder to break someone's heart than it is, Mike, if you think about it, to drop them. He has broken Manny Pacquiao's heart. Freddie Roach and Manny Pacquiao in the corner there, they don't know what's happened. And think about their combined history. How the hell has that happened?
Here we go to the interviews.
Congratulations on this victory. To hear the words "still undefeated," what does that mean?
First off, I want to thank God for this victory. I want to thank all the fans that came to Las Vegas. I want to thank all the fans around the world that supported this event. He's a hell of a fighter. And I'll take my hat off to Manny Pacquiao. I see why he's one of the guys that's at the pinnacle in the sport of boxing.
Was this easier than you had anticipated?
I knew he was going to push it. I knew he was going to win some rounds. You know, he had moments in the fight, but, you know, I kept him on the outside. I was a smart fighter. I outboxed him. I wasn't getting hit with a lot of shots until I sat right there in the pocket. That's when he would land a lot of shots. And we did what we had to do tonight, and I'm truly blessed. Manny Pacquiao is blessed, and I want to thank all the fans that came out to support this event.
Why do you think you never figured out that left jab in your right hand?
You know, I can't really say. You know, I'm just, you know, a calculated fighter. You know, he's a tough competitor. But like I said before, you know, I got to take my hat off to my dad, because without my dad, I wouldn't be where I'm at.
And he was riding you. Why was he riding you so hard?
Because my dad wanted me to do more. But Manny Pacquiao's a tough competitor. You know, he's a very, very awkward fighter, so I had to take my time and watch him extremely close.
You said a couple of times to me and to others, you never wanted to win a fight so bad as you wanted to win this fight. Why? Because it was so long in coming?
You know, you say things sometimes, but all 48 fights, you know, all 47 fights before I got to this point played a major key.
But this one particularly, why?
Really not this one. All fights played a major key, you know. I wanted to win all fights extremely bad. Manny Pacquiao is a tough competitor. He's a true champion at heart. And we both was at our best tonight.
Was this worth the wait?
When the history books is written, it was worth the wait.
What's left for you?
I got one more fight, you know, with Showtime and CBS. You guys done a remarkable job. But I want to thank my sponsors, Hublot, the watch, one of the best watch companies in the world, and FanDuel.
Will you look beyond and try and break Rocky Marciano's record?
My last fight is in September. Then it's time for me to hang it up. You know, I'm almost 40 years old now. I've been in the sport 19 years. I've been world champion 18 years. And I'm truly, truly thankful and I'm blessed.
Now, you've just been handed a check for somewhere between $100 and $200 million, and money's very important to you. Are you telling me you're going back to work in 6 weeks and going to fight in September?
Well, Well, I got to take my hat off to my team. You know, just this week alone.
Take the question here, please, sir. Come on. Are you going to fight again this quick?
I'm fighting in September, yes.
All right. We look forward to it. Congratulations, Floyd.
Thank you. Showtime, Hublot, FanDuel. I love you guys. Thank you.
All right. Next Kellerman.
The questions being posed there by Jim Greer. Now it's Max Kellerman with Manny Pacquiao.
Of this fight.
Well, it's a good fight. I thought I won the fight.
You thought you won the fight? Why?
He didn't do nothing. He always, move outside.
Well, but he had to be hitting you with something because you weren't attacking him with the same kind of ferocity that we sometimes see you attack. Was he not doing something to keep you off?
Yeah, I mean, I got him many times, solid punches, and I think I believe I thought I won the fight.
We didn't ringside, the judges didn't. Right from the outset in the first round, he seemed to be able to get you to fight at his pace. You usually throw a lot of punches. You didn't throw as many punches right from the beginning. Why?
No, he's moving around. He's moving around. It's not easy to throw a lot of punches if your opponent moving around. But if he stay, then I can throw a lot of punches.
But you knew that coming in, so didn't you have to do something to get him to stay?
Yeah, I'm just cutting him in counter. But that's fight. That's fight.
He seemed to catch you with some good right hands early in the fight. Did you feel his power?
Yeah, I can handle his power. It's not strong like Margarito or other opponent Cotto like that.
So you're saying you thought you were up in the fight, and that's why maybe you didn't attack him. You didn't step up the pace even more in the 11th and 12th rounds.
Yes.
Manny, because ringside, I thought I had him winning pretty wide. It seemed to me that his size was giving you some trouble. He's a bigger fighter than you. Was he able to use his size against you?
No, he's not bigger than me. It's not about the size. The size doesn't matter. I've been fighting bigger than him, and nothing problem.
Manny, what's next for you?
Well, take it easy, vacation, and Bob will take care of the rest.
Thanks as always, Manny. Jim?
Well, Manny Pacquiao there sounding subdued, and Steve, if he genuinely thought he won the fight, I think he'd be slightly more animated than that.
No, he didn't think he won the fight, Mike. I think he had to say that at the end. We looked at Freddie Roach's face. It was a face of raw thunder, raw unchecked thunder, and you heard that as Max Kellerman doing the interview. Not always a fan of Max Kellerman. He's a little bit up himself, as we like to say in the North London, that is. But Kellerman there did at least put Manny under, and Kellerman was lost for words. He lost the fight. What's more, Mike, he lost his way. You know, it was after 4 rounds, it was 2-2 we had it. Then it goes to 3-2 after 5 rounds, and it's then he starts to lose it. He just starts to lose his way, and Floyd can dominate it and control it. Then, if we look back, if we watch the first 4 rounds, the first 4 rounds were a bit like I thought the last 4 rounds would be. It was a fight in reverse. It was a Benjamin Button of a fight.
But how often have we said that about Mayweather taking a good look at his opponent and then driving a wedge between them in the middle third of the fight? He's fantastic at doing that. He reads the first 4 rounds and then pulls away. I'm looking at my card here. Rounds 5, 6, 7 and 8, all to Mayweather.
And not just to Mayweather in those rounds. Those are the rounds where you and I are looking at each other at the end, because it looked like he didn't know what... Manny then seemed to run out of ideas. It's very odd for a fighter to have 4 rounds that are close, have great success in rounds 3 and 4, and then to suddenly have very little success in the next 3 rounds without a major drastic change. Now, Mayweather might have just adjusted his feet. I'm quite clued in. I didn't just see a 6-inch adjustment. It looked like Manny ran out of a few ideas, Mike. Handed those middle rounds to Mayweather, and then he could coast. A flawless performance.
So did it live up to the billing? Well, everybody will make their own judgments, and according to the booing here, many of the fans who paid a lot of money for it are not too happy as they make their way out of this MGM Grand Garden Arena. The fella sat next to me wrote down on my notes, what a stinker. Maybe many will say that. One of the reasons it was so one-sided was because of the brilliance of the man that is Floyd Mayweather. 48 unbeaten, now one shy of the all-time record of an unbeaten world champion of the heavyweight from the 1950s, Rocky Marciano. He continues his unbeaten run. Floyd Mayweather has won the big one, Darren.
Thanks, Mike. Fantastic coverage as always from Las Vegas, from Mike Costello, our boxing correspondent, and Steve Bunce alongside him as well. I've been watching the fight in the studio with Anthony Crolla and with Joe Gallagher as well. Joe, I think if we look at your scorecard in particular, you had it slightly closer than the judges out there. Yes, in your opinion, Mayweather won, but you had it slightly closer than they did, and there were quite a few rounds in there that could be scored one way or the other. Yeah, I had it a lot closer. I think the end of the scorecard, I think it was 115, 114. Possibly 116, 113. It was around possibly the last, or I think it was round 7. I'm not sure about that scorecard. I had it a lot closer. Anyway, I thought tonight Manny Pacquiao, he counter-punched well at times. He had moments in the fight, but I felt he boxed with a handbrake on it. He was a bit too reluctant just to go through the gears that little bit when he needed to. And there was opportunities in the fight when he could have got a stranglehold on it. But for whatever reason, whether he felt the first right hand of the fight, which Floyd Mayweather landed on Manny Pacquiao, he felt the power a little bit, and there was a little bit resentment to commit and go in for the kill. But like you say, I had it a little bit closer. Floyd Mayweather does what Floyd Mayweather does, control the fight, and like you say, give Manny Pacquiao plenty of things to think about before coming in. Fair play to Floyd, he just missed on a few big right hands as well. He boxed on the back foot like I thought he would do, but he came out and took the middle of the ring, Floyd Mayweather, and set about his business and took a lot of the early rounds, which surprised me. Anthony, you were saying exactly that, weren't you? That Manny Pacquiao had to throw more punches, that the way he normally fights, it's 2, 3, then he's back in again with more combinations, and he was never able to do that tonight.
Yeah, for me, Manny Pacquiao's biggest asset for me is his feet. His feet is he's got the fastest feet in boxing, you could argue. And tonight, for me, he gave all that up, and he seems to be plodding a bit. And he mentioned then about Mayweather was running and he couldn't get his shots off. But if he had those fast feet, maybe he would have had a better chance of getting the shots off. And I think looking at both fighters, I think they've both slowed down. But before the fight, I thought whoever controls the pace of this fight will be the winner. Floyd's brilliant at slowing the pace down to how he wants to fight. Manny Pacquiao fights at a real high tempo. Tonight he didn't do that, possibly because Floyd didn't let him, but I think his feet was the main reason why he didn't throw more shots, and he obviously needed to throw more shots to have more success. Joe, from a trainer's perspective, the one corner man throughout the fight who was asking for urgency was Floyd Mayweather Sr., and his son was controlling the fight. We didn't see the same urgency from Freddie Roach in the Pacquiao corner. Manny was saying at the end of the fight there that he felt he'd won it. I agree with Steve Bunce. I don't think Manny Pacquiao felt he won the fight at all, but there didn't seem to be the urgency from his corner to tell him that he'd got a deficit to make up. No, definitely going out into, I think it was rounds 10, 11 and 12, we thought to ourselves, we sat here in the studio, he's got to go now and go for broke. If you've got to go out in your shield, you've got to go out on it and take that risk and take that gamble. But Manny was very much triggering Floyd's lead, countering, and then when Floyd moved, he was too slow to jump on him again and go again, and you didn't feel there was a lack of urgency. I don't know whether tonight, I'm not saying there was a wet blanket over the hot buzz for the fight, but I do feel there's a lot of mutual respect in there. There's a lot of touching gloves at the beginning of the round. Very much like a sparring session at times. A bit of sparring session at times, but I think that's the mutual respect. But at the end of the day, they're getting paid huge money, and I thought Manny should have really set about it a little bit more. But like you say, one's 36 and one's 38. Now they can't fight like 23, 24-year-olds no more. And like you say, Floyd Mayweather then ran out a comfortable winner in the end. Let's bring in Mike Costello as well, who's still ringside in the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. Mike, we talked a lot in the build-up about the potential left hand of Manny Pacquiao being the key punch, but in actual fact, it was the right hand of Floyd Mayweather. Yes, and Joe and Anthony will tell you that that's always a very effective punch against a southpaw, and it's a punch that Mayweather has thrown very well, very strongly, very accurately throughout his career. Just to pick up on what the boys were saying there about Manny Pacquiao and that lack of urgency both in his performance and in the corner. First of all, talking about in the corner, what happens in Manny Pacquiao's corner is that his childhood friend, Buboy Fernandez, who he used to sleep in cardboard boxes with, translates what Freddie says into their native language, which is Tagalog, and that's why sometimes it loses some of that urgency in translation. Talking about
Pacquiao's performance himself. I've seen it so many times. Boxers get a version of the yips. We spoke before the fight about this percentage of punches landed on Mayweather in all of his world title fights. You have to accept, if you're going to share the ring with Floyd Mayweather, 4 out of every 5 of your punches are going to miss. It's demoralizing. It breaks your heart. And in the end, it stunts your growth in terms of stepping in, because why would you keep stepping in if you're just going to get pinged by these right hands each time? That's what happens. And I saw it a couple of times in certainly the second half of the fight, where Manny Pacquiao was almost leaning in about to start an attack, but then thought twice about it because of what had been happening in the earlier rounds. It happened with Saul Alvarez. It's happened with a number of opponents. And Mayweather is underestimated for the accuracy and the power of his punching.
Anthony Crolla, have you ever been in a boxing match and had a case of the yips that Mike's talking about, where you are so concerned about what might come back the other way that you're not throwing the punches in the manner that ordinarily your style would allow you to do?
I've not just yet. I'm sure there'll come a time where it might do, but there again, I've not been in the ring with someone as good as Floyd Mayweather. But I see where Mike's coming from there. As in, I think everyone goes in with a plan, and then once they get in there and they realise how hard it is to actually hit Floyd Mayweather, and it disheartens them, it breaks their heart, it becomes a whole different task.
Mike, there's no need for a mismatch, I think. It's a mismatch, a rematch, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, no, you're right, first off.
Yeah, slip of the tongue.
It is interesting how it will play out, because there will be those like me and Steve who... And Joe and Anthony, who recognise the brilliance of Mayweather for what it is, and what it leads to is one-sided contests and sometimes tedious contests because he's on the back foot. I've said before about Floyd Mayweather, I think he belongs in a different era. If he was in the 50s and the 60s, he would be, it's hard to say that he'd be bigger than he is because he's just trousered $200 million, but he would have much more respect for what he does in the ring. That's for sure.
It's a strange old thing, Darren, because what happens is, he's been booed here by the remainder, 15,000 people in his hometown, where he not only lives, but he can alter and reshape the economy. It's thought that this fight not will take, but the city itself will benefit by $500 million as more people come into town. And Mike's absolutely right. We underestimate sometimes the power of his punches. We underestimate sometimes his accuracy. And what we do, and this is a terrible thing, it's not just the British thing, all of the boxing riders here, whether they're from Tokyo, whether they're from Croatia, or whether they're from South Shields, we all do the same thing. We look for flaws. Sometimes we need to stand back and say, hold on a minute, he's just made Manny Pacquiao, who just about has beaten every single body that's been put in front of him, if not the first time, certainly the second time. And for 6 or 7 of the 12 rounds, he was made to look sometimes, and Mike mentioned it in commentary, like an amateur. Certainly 5 or 6 of the rounds, that's what it's like. The other 6 or 7 were competitive rounds, but there were certainly some rounds that were bizarre rounds. And I would put it to you that Manny Pacquiao has not lost a round like he lost some of those rounds probably since he turned pro, when he weighed about 100 pounds.
Let's just throw in a dose of perspective here, Darren. This is a man, Manny Pacquiao, who's beaten Oscar de la Hoya, Juan Manuel Marquez, Antonio Margarito, Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, Ricky Hatton, Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales. This is a man who's beaten all of them and was distinctly second best tonight. He looked like somebody who'd never held a world title at times, the way he was rushing in with his feet off the floor and how he was off balance, because he was forced into making those mistakes by that defensive brilliance of Floyd Mayweather.
There's some reaction on social media. Nobody has ever done more by doing nothing. Like Floyd Mayweather. That's from Alfredo Arteaga. Jason Staples' fight was never close. Surprise Pac didn't fight him more. You can't try to outbox Floyd. Adam Beasley says, not sure the surprise. This was a vintage Mayweather fight. Always leave frustrated. That's his greatness as a fighter. Fullback 3 says, Manny desperate not to get knocked out and Mayweather just doing enough. Oscar de la Hoya, though, Mike, sorry, boxing fans. It came with all the hype. The build-up was long. It took a long time to put together. What will the legacy of this fight be, bearing in mind so many people watched it and we expected so much?
Yes, and I think that will be a problem for boxing, but it happens in a lot of sports. We build towards an event and it doesn't produce the kind of fireworks that we expected. Did I expect this to be an up and down blood and thunder fight tonight? No, I didn't. Maybe I could have expected it to be slightly better than it was. But in terms of the legacy of this fight, of course, it's endorsed the legacy of one man and it's dented the legacy of another. As for the sport itself, well, I think that all the coverage in the build-up of this fight can't be described as anything but positive.
Yeah, and also, Darren, I mean, reading below, or sort of ducking below all the hype, ducking below the $100,000 seats, ducking below the $500 million that was being generated. Anybody that really knew what they were talking about, even no matter where they were writing, on what side or what radio station or what TV station, most people were predicting or suggesting almost completely that we would have a fight that would puzzle people in the sense that we were seeing brilliance and sometimes it's overlooked. What we saw here tonight, the first 4 rounds were fantastic. Let's absolutely get that counter-stamped. The first 4 rounds were fantastic. The third was excellent. One of the best rounds Floyd Mayweather's ever been in. But we look for him to be hurt. We look for him to be stunned. We look for him to be sent reeling. And we shouldn't do that. We should perhaps look for him to see him avoid shots, to make Manny chase and punch thin air. They're having a moth. They're infested with moths at the moment in Las Vegas. And I'm not joking. There's no joke coming up. There are moths flying around. There are dozens of them flying around. It looked at times like Manny. It looked at times like Manny had been hired to kill most of them, because that's where his punches seem to be going. And just to pick up on something that Mike said, and it's very important, when he went through that list of fighters that Manny Pacquiao had beaten, Marquez aside, because obviously Marquez knocked him out in their 4th and hopefully their final fight, Marquez aside, Manny did a much better job on all of those fighters. He did a better job on Mosley. He did a better job on Oscar De La Hoya. Plus, he fought the guy Margarito that we all think that Floyd didn't fancy fighting. Manny deserved to be in the ring tonight, deserved to get his $100 million. And I tell you what, we'll probably never get the truth from Manny and the corner, but they must be heartbroken that all of their years just didn't work out.
Guys, before we finish, so Floyd Mayweather says he's going to fight again in September. Joe Gallagher, is that going to be Amir Khan?
Well, I'd love it to be Amir Khan, because I think Amir Khan could give Floyd Mayweather plenty of problems. But I do feel with Amir and his Ramadan, obviously we've got Kell Brook, he's the IBF world champion, and I think Floyd would like to go out, possibly give Kell the job, and Floyd could go out on 49-0 as the undisputed world welterweight champion. So they're 2 possible opponents for him. We'll just have to wait and see. Interestingly, the punch stats have just come in for the fight, and it seems to be Floyd Mayweather's jab was the key all the way through. The total fight punches thrown, there was 435 Mayweather, 429 Pacquiao. Of the jabs thrown, 267 were from Mayweather, 193 Pacquiao. 67 of the jabs connected Mayweather to 18 from Pacquiao.
And Joe,
the jab alone, there enough won the fight for Floyd Mayweather tonight.
Yeah.
And Joe, I was talking about this earlier on. In the first 4 rounds, he barely threw one.
Yeah.
That's what Mayweather does. That's the genius of the man. For the first 4 rounds, he had a good look at Manny Pacquiao, and after that, he decided that the key component to his makeup would be the left hand, and he dominated the fight after that with the jab. He landed much more solid shots with the right hand, but he started throwing the jab after the 4th round, and from that point on, Manny barely landed a significant blow.
Mike, what do you and Steve think about the next assignment then for Floyd Mayweather in September?
Well, I think what's really interesting, Darren, and there's been some speculation here, that the important thing about this fight in September is that a couple of years ago, Floyd Mayweather signed this multi-million-dollar deal with Showtime Sports. It's a 6-fight deal, and the fight in September is the last of the 6 fights. So that takes him to 49-0. If you've ever been anywhere near Floyd Mayweather, and at a fight like this, it's difficult to get anywhere near Floyd Mayweather, you know that 50-0 will be begging him to have that final fight. Now, the speculation this week has been at the end of that contract with Showtime in September, he's then a free agent. So, do we then have an auction between HBO and Showtime as to which one of them will televise number 50 for Floyd Mayweather Sr.? The figures we've been talking about here this week might even be dwarfed.
Yeah, and does he even create his own pay-per-view outlet for one particular fight? It's no secret that he's a hard man to negotiate with. The people around him are even harder to negotiate with. What about they could create his own pay-per-view? He collects even more of the giant spoils, and that makes all the sense in the world. The idea that it will leave at 49, I'm not buying it. Although I am hearing quite seriously, and his father mentioned it already. I am hearing quite seriously that his mother, who is estranged from him for years and years, former crack addict that caused him some problems when he was younger, i.e. abandoning him. I'm hearing that she's now been back in his life for about 8 or 9 years. She wants him to walk away.
All right, Steve, thanks a lot. Mike, just to finish, give us your final overview on what's been a very, very interesting week, or before that as well, with the build-up in Las Vegas, from what you've seen around the fight. What are you going to take away from it?
Well, I'm going to take away one of the most amazing weeks of my career, and a lot of people will be saying that here this week, everyone who had a ticket for it. The buzz that was created, the way the frenzy grew day after day here. Just, there are so many different measurements as to how this was so much bigger than anything we've seen before. Everybody you bump into, I think I've been in a lift about a dozen times today. In every single case, I was asked who I thought was going to win the fight. That just doesn't happen. This was great for boxing in that sense. Now, people will argue about what the result means for boxing, but I'm taking the one-sided view here, and I'm saying again, and okay, I'm a fan of the way he fights, but Floyd Mayweather is a genius, and people will realise, and they should hold on to their ticket stubs here tonight, however much they cost, because they can say that they saw one of sport's all-time greats in action, beating another all-time great and making him look distinctly ordinary.
Mike, fantastic. Have a safe journey home. I think it wouldn't be just the ticket stub you'd be keeping tonight. $300,000 you'd be taking the seat home with you as well. Mike Costello and Steve Bunce, our top team, ringside in Las Vegas. Thanks as well to Anthony Crolla and to Joe Gallagher as well, who have been with me in the studio tonight.